You have been transported into the world of Tevat. Congrats, you're a descender. Wait, I'm getting word that there's been a bit of an issue in Snezhnaya. They got the wrong person. Turns out there's a hero in some world who looks exactly like you, your splitting image, but you yourself, you're just a normal person.
Help me!
Despite it all, you'd find yourself in the bustling city of Mondstadt. Nothing to your name, and no power either, but most importantly safe. The city, however, was not as busy as you were led to believe. The floating city was anchored in place. Within its walls was a tight-knitted community without room for you. With nowhere to expand, and no employment to pay for expansion, this couldn't be your life here. You did catch word of this place named Liyue, a trade harbor, plenty of seaports. Certainly, living there would be better for work than Mondstadt. For as harsh as the city was on you, it did offer one silver lining. A restaurant named Good Hunter, one so busy that it kept business late into the night. The owner, Sarah, needed someone to deliver her food across the nation for you. Now, at first, upon hearing the word nation, you recoiled. However, you'd quickly learn that the nations of this world are considerably smaller than yours. And so, you accepted the job. You needed money for the road, and plus when you got there, you couldn't guarantee that you'd immediately find employment. So, food delivery it was. One massive problem, however. Outside of the walls are monsters. Some moved in groups, others you had to admit were cute, but all were threats, dangers to impede on and even end your life. And so you went to Mondstadt's tavern, panhandled for a few coins, and searched your mind long and hard for a plan over what may be your last drink. You knew you'd need a weapon. Thankfully, they were surprisingly cheap, and with a small allowance from Sarah, you could afford one no issue. Quite frankly, you're incapable, but you're smart, and you know that you're incapable. That left you with two options in your head. Either a sword, or a spear. You chose the spear. It'd make your deliveries a bit harder, but out of the two, it'd be more likely to save your life. You did something else in that tavern last night too. There were a lot of adventurers there, ordinary people like you, but with the experience and knowledge that you lacked. You could learn from them. They looked at you funny when you asked, and vague questions about the monsters. You kept pushing though, and eventually, you'd learn all that you'd need. Bad news. Based on their stories, there were only two monsters that you could confidently handle. Good news? These would be the most common encountered monsters. Hilly trolls and small slimes. Based on their descriptions, hilly trolls were small in stature and weak in bulk. You were told that their strikes were always exaggerated and animated. Easy to dodge. You went over it in your mind. Dodge, attack, and done. Perhaps a group would be an issue, but just one hilly troll? Certainly you could handle it. These other monsters, the slimes, specifically the small ones you were told. In contrast, they were a matter of simply attacking, at least from what you'd heard. Small creatures who'd look to jump on you, and as long as you didn't give them the time, they weren't a threat. And so, mental preparations complete, you stepped past the city gates, ready to complete your first delivery.